The first signal, curiously, was a white gull sitting on the top of the chimney. It was a very dark and dank and brooding day, which then did suddenly bring that plume of white smoke from the Sistine Chapel that we've all been waiting for. Still no name yet. It'll be announced in Latin. First, the new Pope will be given his white robes, and they have to fit. I think they've got about 6 sizes available, so he should fit one of them. Then he goes off to pray in the Pauline Chapel. He's probably doing that now before emerging onto the balcony to greet the huge crowds right here in St. Peter's Square. Just look at those crowds now. Look, there's, I think, an Argentinian flag. There are Italian flags. There are people waving. I think they're waving at the cameras and at the balcony upon which the Pope will stand. But let's turn now to our Foreign Affairs Correspondent Jonathan Rugman, who was in the square as the smoke flew out and started getting reaction from the crowd.
So habemus papam, we have a Pope at last, the 266th, after a conclave which has lasted just over 24 hours. Somebody in the Sistine Chapel has said in Latin, accepto, which means I accept. And what a challenge this individual faces, trying to revitalize this church, trying to remove the stain of scandal, and above all, evangelizing, spreading the word, spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ across the globe.
We have a Pope!
How do you feel?
How do you feel? Very emotional.
Great, yes, great.
Where are you from?
Nigeria!
From Nigeria.
God is great.
People obviously incredibly enthusiastic here, surging up towards the balcony of the great Basilica of St. Peter's, hoping to get a glimpse of their Pope. After the last one did something extraordinary and abdicated, the first one to do that in almost 600 years. It's hard to overestimate the importance of the election of a Pope to the 1.2 billion baptized Catholics across the world. Pope Benedict was 78 when he took the papacy. He was 85 when he resigned. He felt tired. He said he couldn't carry on any longer. He said that his mission was to reinvigorate the church across Europe. Many here will be hoping that the Pope, whomever he is, and we can't say yet because we haven't seen him, will reinvigorate the church and bring many more people into it across the world.
Let's go straight to the square now. There's a huge roar going up, and I suspect that means that the French cardinal who will announce who this Pope is on the dais. Let's see how we go. That's the window above, that's the balcony, up there in the centre with the red velvet curtain that has witnessed the coming and going of popes down the ages. And at some point, with the lights now fully on the Basilica, this suggests to me that we are seconds away, I don't think long now, before Jean-Louis Therrin, who is the senior French cardinal here. He's the kind of master of ceremonies on a moment here, and what you'll hear is Latin. He will call out, habemus papam, and then he will say, su nombre, his name is, and then we've got to listen like cats to try and see who it actually is, try to hear who it is. Now see what's happening in the crowd. Even though it's raining, all the brollies are down. People are getting every sight they can. I've seen Vatican flags, I've seen Polish flags, I've seen Nicaraguan flags. These are flags from the great communities of Catholics across the world. I have even seen a Lebanese flag. Now let's just see for a moment. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do now is to, I think, go to Sarah Smith, who is at Britain's most senior area. No, I'm not going to go to her because we still think the Cardinal, the French Cardinal, will come out, and so we'd like you to wait with us. Look, the TV lights are fully on the Basilica now. It glows like some fairy castle. It's a strange thing because there are so many issues to be resolved. Now, in Westminster, I'm joined now by Britain's senior Catholic cleric, Monsignor and Archbishop Vincent Nichols. Vincent Nichols, thank you so much for joining us. Your reaction, even though we don't know who it is.
Well, John, of course, I am as excited as everybody in St. Peter's Square. I mean, this is a wonderful moment for the church, and it touches our hearts because The relationship of the faithful with the Pope is one of people to their Father. So we're being told we have a Father, and a Father is a very important figure in our life and in our life of faith. So that's our excitement, and we wait to greet him with great excitement and love and promise him our fidelity and our support and our prayers.
Well, our prayers are what he is involved in now. He's apparently in the Pauline Chapel, and I should think it's a pretty big moment. I mean, my goodness, suddenly to be burdened and yet perhaps blessed with this huge responsibility.
Oh,
what do you think is going through the
my
heart and mind of the man who has been picked?
Well, it's very hard to imagine, but my heart goes out to him, because from that moment when he said yes, he hands over his whole life. Just think, he will never go home. He will never simply get on a train and go home. He's lost his contact now with wherever he's come from, and now he is the servant of the servants of God, and he will give his life to help us and to form us in faith and to make us strong and outward looking, I'm sure.
And the amazing thing as we speak is that despite the digital age, despite all these instant communications, we don't know whether home is in Sao Paulo, whether home is in Milan, whether home is in Vienna.
Yeah.
We have no idea where this man is coming from and what perspective he will bring as a result of where he comes from.
Well, that's true, but we will know that in a few moments. And that perspective will, of course, give some shape to his pontificate. But what really shapes it will be the depth of his faith in Christ. And that, I think, is the great legacy that Benedict has left us, has pointed us to, that everything we do has to be based on and rooted in our absolute rock-solid faith in Christ. And that's the source of the renewal that we look for. That's the resource of the reinvigoration of the church, which is every single one of us, starting with me, starting with the people gathered here in Westminster Cathedral. We see this moment as a moment in which we're given a new guide, a new Father in God, so that we can play our part in the life of the church.
Archbishop, I do hope we can come back to you in a few minutes when we know who it is, but I know you have to be with your own flock there, but I hope we can speak to you again in a few minutes' time. Thank you very much in the meantime for joining